Hey guys, it's Jess, I'm back, and this week I'm filming a quick video to show you guys all how I changed my pump, so let's get started. So when I change my pump, I use these four things. Obviously, I have my pump, which is the key important thing you need when you're changing your pump. Then I use a cartridge, which you put the insulin in, which is this little thing right here. Then I use this, which is the tubing and the cannula. And then we have the insulin, which is just Nova Rapid insulin. And when you change your pump, the most important thing that you need to do is to wash your hands, because you need to be hygienic. So now that I've washed my hands, we can get started on changing my pump. And we can get started on the first thing that you need to do. Right, so I've got all my things ready. I've got everything ready to change my pump. And the first thing that I want to do is to grab my insulin pump. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it on. And now I'm going to unlock it. So now I've unlocked the screen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on menu and I'm going to scroll down to the bottom to prime rewind. Now this is the 4 key steps that basically you need to use when you're changing your pump on the Animas Vibe. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll to the top and go on rewind and press OK. And it says go rewind. Now before I rewind my pump, the first thing that I need to do is unscrew this black cap here and pull it off. And then I need to pull out the insulin cartridge that was inside my pump. So that is what the insulin looks like at the moment. So now I can take that and put that to one side. And I can press OK. Oh, I don't want to press cancel. I can go on rewind, go rewind. And my pump will start rewinding. And what it's doing is, in here, there's a little lever that pushes the cartridge of insulin, and it pushes the insulin out of the cartridge. And what it's doing is it's rewinding all the way back to the beginning, so I can put a full cartridge in there. So I'm just going to pop that to one side. And while that's rewinding, I'm going to get the insulin ready. So the next step, as I just said, is I need to prepare the insulin cartridge to put into my pump. So I'm going to grab the main cartridge itself, which looks something like this, and it has a measurement on the side of how much insulin is going to be inside the cartridge. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to pick up the blue lever and I'm going to pop it in the end. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to push it right the way up, if it's going to work, like so. So it pushes all the air out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it out again and push it up. So that just makes sure that it gets rid of all the air that's inside of it. Then I'm going to grab the needle, which is in the set. I'm going to put that onto the top of the cartridge, like so. So you kind of have a mini injection almost. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the lid off of the needle. So you just have the needle like so. And I'm going to pull the lever on the bottom down once more so I have air in there. And I'm going to push it up again, but I'm not going to push it all the way. I'm only going to push it until it gets to around about 1 on the markings on the cartridge. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move this to one side. I'm going to grab the insulin, the Nova Rapid, and on the top there's a little grid almost. It's like a funny little type of material. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stand my insulin bottle up, like so. And I'm going to get the needle as it is, put it upside down. I'm going to put it right in the middle of that material that's on top of the insulin bottle. So it's standing like that. Then what I'm going to do is grab the bottom of the insulin bottle, turn it upside down, and then let go. So it's just hanging. It won't fall off, don't worry about it. Now the reason I left this bit of air inside the cartridge is because I'm now going to push it up into the insulin bottle. Now as you can see, bubbles are going up into the insulin bubble. That's good because you want bubbles in there. And then what I'm going to do is, once I've pushed it right the way to the top, is I'm going to start pulling the blue lever down really, really slowly so the insulin fills up into the cartridge. So I'm just going to quickly do that. And if you get about halfway, and you see, I have a big bubble right there in my cartridge. I don't know if you can see that. I think you just can. What I'm going to do is you want to get rid of all bubbles because you do not want any bubbles inside your insulin cartridge. I'm going to push that all out so it goes back into the bottle and get rid of the bubble. And then when it's at the top, I'm just going to pull it down again and start again. I'm going to pull the lever until you cannot pull it anymore, so it's at the bottom, like so. So now you have insulin in there, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to take off, sorry that was my pump, I'm going to take off the insulin bottle while it's upside down and then pop it to one side. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the lid back on the needle so it's safe, and I'm going to twist it, and it should, and the whole needle should come off. Doesn't seem to like me. There we go. So the needle comes off, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the blue lever at the bottom, twist that and take it out. So now all I have left is the cartridge of insulin. Now while you're getting your tubing and your cannula ready, it is important that this is standing up because you do not want it to tip or anything and get more bubbles in it. So what I do is I get the box that the vial sits in and I just stand it up in there because it gives it a bit of support, and then I'll just pop that to one side while I get the tubing ready. Right, so I've opened the packet that my cannula and the tubing's in, and it comes in two little parts like this. Now I use the contact detach cannula only because it's best for me, and I had problems with the other cannula that you can use with the Animas Vibe. Now these two parts you need to connect together because how's the insulin going to get into you with just this little cannula? So what I'm going to do is this tubing that's all gathered together, I'm going to peel apart. So I'm going to take off this plastic bit until I'm left with just the tubing, which I'm going to stretch out. So it's just one long bit of tubing. And then this bit, you can see, it looks like an oval, when in fact it's actually two parts. So I'm going to hold the bottom, pinch the sides together, squeeze them, and pull them apart. It's quite hard. And there you have a guard and the needle which the insulin comes out of. Pretty cool, huh? So I'm going to put the guard to one side, and then what I'm going to do is this needle I'm going to put into the cannula, which is here. So as you can see, this shape is very much like the guard. So it's basically like a jigsaw. I'm just going to put those two together. Seriously, pump. It's alarming. So I'm just going to flip them together, like so. There we go. And your tubing is now all together. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the other end of the tubing, which looks like this. And that black stopper that I showed at the beginning, that I pulled off my pump, I'm going to put this way up. I'm going to put it over this end of the tubing. So it's like this. Then the insulin cartridge that I just prepared, I'm going to take out of its box. Ooh, is it going to come out? Here we go. And I'm going to attach that end of the tubing to the top of this. You just twist it and it's on. And the next thing I'm going to do is this black topper I'm just going to let slide down on top of the insulin cartridge, like so. Right, so now let's get back to the pump. So I've rewinded my pump and I've got the insulin ready with the tubing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back into my pump. It does that, that's normal. I'm going to go menu, and I'm going to go back down to prime and rewind. And the next button says load cartridge. I'm going to press OK once on that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the cartridge into the hole at the top, all the way in. And I'm going to twist the black little thing until it's attached, like so. So now the insulin is inside of my pump, and I'm going to press OK. And what it's going to do is it's going to load the cartridge, so then I can start using the insulin. So let's just wait for that to happen. There we go, didn't take long at all. And the next thing it says is prime. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press OK once until it gets onto deliver prime. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the end of the tubing where the cannula is. Now on the end of the cannula there's a plastic little guard. This you want to hold, this is going to be quite difficult to show, you want to hold higher than your pump. So say this is your pump, you want to hold it higher than your pump when you prime it, so the insulin can travel upwards. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold a bit of plastic or a tissue or something underneath that hole. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my pump and I'm going to go up to go prime. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down OK on go prime. So the insulin goes through the tubing up to the cannula. Okay? So if you watch the end of the cannula, this is what's going to happen. There we go, the insulin's coming out. So once you've got 3 drops of insulin out the end of the cannula, you're going to go on to the last and final step of your Easy Prime, which is fill cannula. So I've been told to fill mine to 0.3 units, so I know that it's coming out. I'm going to press OK and go, and then 0.3 units of insulin comes out of the cannula. And then you have done all 4 steps of getting your pump ready. So now that you've prepared your pump and you've done all 4 steps, you've rewinded your pump, you've loaded the cartridge, you've primed your pump and you've filled the cannula, now comes the not so great part, which is attaching the cannula to your body. But before you attach it to your body, you need to get it ready, because you can't put plastic like that into your body. You need to have the actual needle. So what I'm going to do is this plastic guard, I'm just going to twist and pull so it reveals the needle, and that needle is going to go inside of my body. So I'm going to do it in my leg purely because that's the comfiest place for me. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the plaster, which kind of looks like a cat, I think, and I'm going to peel back the plastic and just put the plastic away. So then it reveals like a plaster. See, it sticks to me. And then this is ready to put into your leg. So now I have my bare leg on show. I'm going to grab the cannula and the needle, and I'm just going to turn it over and push it into my leg. And then I'm going to pull the plaster down a bit so it sticks against my body, and then I've got the needle in, and it's as simple as that. And the next thing I'm going to do is this second plaster. It doesn't look pointless, but it actually helps. I'm going to peel back the cat ears, because it looks like a cat. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick that plaster next to the cannula, because then it gives a bit extra support, and if the tubing pulls, it pulls the plaster and not the needle, so then it doesn't hurt. So now that the pump is fully attached, you need to clear up, because you can't leave all of this sat on the table. So you need to know which bits can go in the sharps bin, the yellow sharps bin, and which bits have to go into the normal ordinary bin, because you can't put needles and things in the bin. So what I'm going to do is all of this plastic, I'm going to pick out the needle that had the cap on that we used to draw the insulin out of, and that's going to go in the sharps bin, like so, because that cannot go in the normal bin. And everything else that's here can go in the normal bin, because there are no needles or anything like that. It's just plastic bits of guard and things like that. Well, obviously not the insulin. That's not going to go in the bin. So I'm just going to gather all of this up. Like so. And I'm going to walk it over to the bin. And I'm just going to plop it in like that. Righty-o, then that's everything. I've changed my pump and I've done my insulin. I do not know why I'm doing an accent. But still, I hope you found that interesting in some way, and I don't know what it's like when you change other pumps because I've only ever had the Animas Vibe, but that's how I change it. I hope you found it interesting in some way, and I'll see you soon.